Black people, especially Black girls and women, don't get treated fairly, and you have to celebrate it because we deserve to feel special.
I love that. We deserve to feel special in a world that probably, well, I don't want to say probably, in a world that definitely tries to make us feel that we are less than, that we should shrink, that we shouldn't take up all the space, and that we shouldn't celebrate, that we absolutely rock. So I 100% agree with you on that.
Welcome to Living in 3D Power. Discover your truth, discern your path, determine your power. I'm Dr. Amber Sessoms, and together, let's unlock our power, build authentic connections, and foster collective liberation. Hey y'all, welcome to episode 4 of Living in 3D Power. And today, we're going to go back to talking about our strengths, in particular, Emma's strengths. And if you listened to last week's podcast, we went over the VIA survey, so the VIA Character Institute, where you're able to take a free survey to identify your top 5 strengths. And Emma discovered her 5 strengths, and it was really cool because she wasn't surprised at all that they were her 5 strengths, which I love because she's so confident and so self-knowing. So her top strengths were kindness, love, humor, fairness, and bravery. And what we're going to do for Black History Month, happy Black History Month, y'all, we're going to be going through her strengths and aligning them with some amazing Black women and girls. So thinking about children, we're going to talk about our ancestors, and we're also going to talk about present day figures so that really Emma can focus on the people that have always been here, that exist now, in the past, and currently, who she can look at herself and say, I embody a lot of what they are, or I am so more fully seen because I can see people that look like me. And this is not a practice just to do during Black History Month, but because it's Black History Month and with all of the things, y'all, that are going on, I wanted to be really intentional about aligning her values, because what we're focusing on is speaking life in the midst of all the chaos and the agents of chaos that is out there, and just the troubling January that we had. It was hard, y'all. We made it, but it's hard. And I saw something from Prentice Hemphill, who is a somatic therapist, talking about not recognizing until this moment that is still living in our bodies, that we are very much dysregulated. It is so much easier for us to get activated. And I will say, as more and more research comes, that this is really aligned with thinking about COVID and a toxic stress that we endured. We have never been through a global pandemic like that. And we went back to business as usual, right? And there is deep trauma that lives in a lot of our bodies. I was talking to someone last week that was saying that they know families that were completely taken away because of COVID, or there's only one living relative left, and how devastating that is. And we're still in that recovery. We're still in the feeling and unfolding of that. So thinking about all that and just giving ourselves grace, because we went from that trauma of COVID to George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and thinking about the most recent racial reckoning. And then to swing so hard the other way when we had all of this DEI policies and practices and positions that were coming to be, because the world knew and was willing and courageous enough to name what was happening. And now to swing the other direction, where we're literally taking away civil rights legislation, is traumatic. It's traumatic. So I just want to honor what you're feeling in your body. And I just hope that you can get curious enough to really think about, where is it living in your body? Again, it's in my shoulders and in my chest. So checking in with yourself, seeing how you're feeling, if you're okay, what do you need to do to feel safe? Sometimes I am a physical touch person. I will do self-hugs. And those are the things that help me. If you can't see me, but you're watching, I'm literally hugging myself. My arms are wrapped around myself. These are things that can ground you, grounding your feet on the ground, telling yourself that you are safe, that you are loved, that you are cared for, that you deserve to have your needs nourished. that you deserve to have a life of ease. And coming back to yourself. And without me even thinking about it, that was actually a practice of kindness and love for myself. But today, what we're going to focus on in this episode is just that kindness and love. And Emma and I did our homework, y'all. We really looked at incorporating her strengths and trying to find people, again, a child, an ancestor, and a present day figure that really embodied those same characteristics. And the beautiful part is we didn't fall short of people that we could choose. But because we don't want you here for 10 plus hours, we narrowed it down for one for each category. So what we're going to do in the next segment is really highlight her love and kindness and then walk through those three figures. And those three figures are going to be Khloe Thompson, who is the founder of Khloe Cares. So she founded this organization at the age of 8. Phenomenal. But if you recall in the last podcast, I asked Emma essentially, what would she do if she could wave a magic wand or she could really work towards in community to really solve a major issue to make our world a better place? And what she would love to do, what's been in her heart, and I could see that from when she was even much smaller, is really to eradicate houselessness, people that are unhoused, and also to end world hunger. And so I think finding Khloe Cares, who is really dedicated to that mission at such a young age of 8, what I'm hoping is that Emma will see herself in her and understand that the sky's the limit. She doesn't have to limit herself because of her age or because of these big world issues that adults can't even get together to solve, that we can take our own individual agency and build community, and that can create a ripple effect. So Khloe Cares. And then it was amazing because as we were doing our research, Wangari Maathai came up. And what was really awesome, especially in this attack on DEI, is that Emma learned about Wangari Maathai in school recently and her 1-minute reading drills that she has to do. And so we're going to talk about her from our ancestral figure and how she is an environmental activist. And the present day figure is none other than Beverly Bonds, who started Black Girls Rock. And that really resonated with Emma because Black Girls Rock, Black Girl Magic, all the things, seeing us elevated and celebrated. So I hope you tune in to listen to that because Emma has some really great insights on why she thinks it's important for Black girls and Black women to be elevated, celebrated, embraced in all of their fullness. And some of the things that I asked Emma is what inspires you from these people? And also thinking about in this current moment, what inspires me? And if you're not watching, if you're listening, but if you're watching, you can see that I have on a bell hooks sweatshirt. If you're not familiar or you didn't recognize, maybe you can't see it because I'm in front of the mic. Let me see if I can move to the side a little bit. Bell hooks, you might not recognize her. Or you might think, is that you? Because I remember being out one day and someone was like, oh, are you wearing yourself on your sweatshirt? I'm like, no, sir. No shade if you do. But I'm like, my goodness, do we look alike? At any rate, it's an illustration of bell hooks. And I will put the link in the show notes. It's from an Etsy shop. And I absolutely fell in love with the design. I'm still looking. So anyone out there, if you know of an enamel bell hooks pin, please let me know. I have over 100 enamel pins and I have yet to find a bell hooks pin. So Radical Dreams pin, please create that, or I'll have to tag some of the other people that I buy pins from. But an enamel bell hooks pin would just be life for me. So right now, I'm just going to be rocking my sweatshirt. And I'm wearing this particularly for today because we're talking about kindness and love. And some of you might not, because bell hooks and her criticality and the way she deconstructed the world and white supremacist capitalist patriarchy, or imperialist white supremacist capitalist patriarchy, right? She was unapologetic about how she critiqued the systems that uphold that construct, right? And our positionality and how we perpetuate it. But if you're not familiar, she wrote a book all about love, literally titled All About Love. And I actually have a t-shirt that is the book title, but y'all know I love a good book, wall-to-wall bookshelves if you're not watching. And also, if I'm reading, you can see I'm holding up my All About Love book, and you can see all the tabs that I have. I love tabbing my books. I love really engaging in my books, and I love going to book talks. And I remember going to one, and we'll talk about her later in a future episode, but Nicole Hannah-Jones had her book talk for 1619, and I was able to get my book signed. And she was so elated to see that I had my book tabbed. And I remember my friend who was with me at the time, she's like, what page didn't you tab? But there's so much in there and so much in All About Love that I use in my work. I don't just read for pleasure. I use it to help engage my clients and my community to really evolve into better human beings. So I'm just going to take a few excerpts. I mean, so many pages I have tabbed here, but thinking about love, what Bell says is when we understand love as the will to nurture our own and another's spiritual growth, it becomes clear that we cannot claim to love if we are hurtful and abusive. Love and abuse cannot coexist. Abuse and neglect are, by definition, the opposites of nurturance and care. And in particular, I'm sitting with that, thinking about the abuse, the harm that is occurring right now in our country. And we're talking about making America great again. We're talking about loving our country. But how can we love our country if we don't love the people who built this country for free, stolen labor, or the people that embodied it before we even got here and took care of it and nurtured it, and now we're destroying it? I don't know how we can say that we love our country if we can't love the people that reside in it. And Bell really critiques that again. And another thing that she says is self-love cannot flourish in isolation. Using a working definition of love that tells us it is the action we take on behalf of our own or another's spiritual growth provides us with a beginning blueprint for working on the issue of self-love. Simply learning how we have acquired feelings of worthlessness rarely enables us to change things. It is usually only one stage in the process. I, like so many other people, have found it useful to examine negative thinking and behavioral patterns learned in childhood, particularly those shaping my sense of self and identity. And that's why I think this podcast is so important, because sitting down and talking to Emma at such a critical age and at such a critical time when this world is attacking people that look like me and look like her, and going into schools and removing books that mirror and give her a reflection of who she is and all the possibilities that she could be. It's so much more important now than ever to really focus on our self-identity and loving ourselves. And that's all about love, right? And another thing that Bell sees, let me go to another page here. I absolutely love this. So not only did I tag it, I also starred the tag. She talks about awakening to love and let go of our obsession with power and domination. Let go of our obsession with power and domination. Somebody needs to hear that. Somebody in the White House needs to hear that. A love ethic presupposes that everyone has the right to be free, to live fully and well. To live fully and well. I mean, that's so key. By embracing a global vision wherein we see our lives and our fate as intimately connected to those of everyone else on the planet, we make choices based on a belief that honesty, openness, and personal integrity, honesty, openness, and personal integrity need to be expressed in public and private decisions. I feel like those need to be tenets of every decision that's being currently made right now. Any decision in our lives, period. But in particular, I don't know one person that could tell me, if you could, you're lying. Can you tell me that the decisions that are being made right now, these executive orders, are being made with honesty, openness, and personal integrity, and they're expressed in public and private decisions? That's going back to thinking about who I want to be and how I'm aligned. And living by a love ethic, Bell says, we learn to value loyalty and a commitment to sustained bonds over material advancement. I made a face, y'all. You can't see me. While careers and making money remain important agendas, they never take precedence over valuing and nurturing human life and well-being. But in keeping with a capitalist-based notion of well-being, they really believe there is not enough to go around and that the good life can be had only by a few. This is why she talks about imperialist, white supremacist, capitalist patriarchy, right? If we keep that as our foundation, we have a scarcity mindset, and we don't believe that there are people that happen to look like me that deserve to have well-being, that deserve to have the basic necessities of life: food, water, shelter, safety, right? So also, and I think this will be my last point from Belle. I mean, there's just so much in this book. Again, you could see if you're watching how many things I tabbed. But she also said, sadly, many of our nation's citizens are proud to live in one of the most democratic countries in the world, even as they are afraid to stand up for individuals who live under repressive and fascist governments. They are afraid to act on what they believe because it would mean challenging the conservative status quo. Refusal to stand up for what you believe in weakens individual morality and ethics as well as those of the culture. Whew. Hope you're taking a breath with me there. And I'm going to look at the date here because this was written in 2001. So I just am grateful for our ancestor Bell Hooks and her relentless pursuit of discovering what it means to love and the totality of what that is. So you'll see in the next segment, Emma and I discuss my beloved Bell Hooks, why she was so important to my dissertation, and also her definition of love, which I share readily with my clients because I think it's such an important definition. And also, if you are a Christian, there should be another definition coming to mind, right? And you're thinking about 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7, which reads, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it does not dishonor others, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking. Ooh, all these can be repeated, right? It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. So I hope that if you are a fellow Christian, if you are a believer in the human spirit, if you are a person, and I am sure that you are if you're listening to this podcast, that believes in the healing power of love, that you hold and tuck that away in your heart in these days and weeks and years to come. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. And for me, one of those greatest examples of that beautiful love is Emma. So I hope you enjoy this segment.
It's me, it's me, it's me. It's me, it's me, it's me. Hello, it's me, Emma. Welcome back to Living in 3D Power with me and my mother. And today we are going to talk about some of my traits. As if you watched the last episode, it was about this test on your traits. And today we're doing kindness and love.
Yeah, so those were your top two strengths. So it was the VIA character strengths assessment or the VIA survey. So remember, your first strength was kindness and your second was love. Mm-hmm. So we're going to focus on, because it's Black History Month, we're going to focus on some Black women and girls in particular that embody the same type of strengths that you have. And the first one's, again, we're going to combine the first two, kindness and love. And what VIA character strength says about that, Emma, is it's under this umbrella of virtue, a category of itself, and it's under humanity. So how they define humanity is caring for and valuing close one-on-one relationships.
One-on-one.
Yeah, you have your own individual time with people, and it's meaningful. So for kindness, I love this definition. It really describes you. Kind individuals believe that others are worthy of attention and affirmation for their own sake as human beings, not out of a sense of duty. There are 3 traits for this personality type. So empathy and sympathy, moral reasoning, and social responsibility, which I think really ties in with some of your other strengths as we move through this month.
Yes.
And the second one is love, how they define it as valuing close relationships with others, in particular those in which sharing and caring are reciprocated. So it's a back and forth relationship. It's not one-sided. Like I'm giving all the love and I'm not getting any in return. You give love, you get love. It's a back and forth. And being close to people. So Bell Hooks was really influential in my dissertation because when I read her book, Teaching to Transgress, and how she talked about you have to bring your full self into the classroom. Don't bring this cookie cutter version of yourself or a fake version of yourself. Bring your whole self to the classroom.
My whole self.
Yes, like I don't want to show up as someone else, a fake person, right? Be who you are. And it just ignited something in me. And I think it's really important. I don't have the book. It's in my office. But she wrote a book called All About Love. And because love is one of your strengths, I love her definition of love because it's not just this romantic, mushy-gushy love, or somehow that's how people think. So you probably don't even know anything about soap operas. But when I was young, probably your age or younger, I used to watch General Hospital, All My Children, One Life to Live. It's these soap operas. I used to watch them with Aunt Jerry.
What?
So they're the most ridiculous. It's drama. It's love. It's all the things. So it comes on in the middle of the day and you would watch these soap operas. People usually think about love like that, the stuff you see on TV where people are mushy and gushy and kissy. And what she says is, oh no, I'm going to give you a real true definition of love. And so here's her definition. This is what I use a lot to ground my work and how I work with my clients. And she says, embracing a love ethic means that we utilize all the dimensions of love, not just one, right? All the dimensions of love, care, commitment, trust, responsibility, respect, and knowledge in our everyday lives. We can successfully do this only by cultivating awareness. Being aware enables us to critically examine our actions to see what is needed so that we can give care, be responsible, show respect, and indicate a willingness to learn. So you see there's so many different facets. We have to care about people. We have to commit. We have to trust. There has to be respect. You have to gain knowledge. So I'm learning from you when I thought I was doing such a better job at this. And you're like, Mommy, you can actually do some more work there. But that's the work of of loving and knowledge and hearing people and saying, oh, that hurt me, or I need you to show up better for me there. It indicates a willingness to learn. So we don't think that we have all the answers. When I turn to you and have that one-on-one relationship with you, I learn from you and I hear you and I say, oh, I got to show up better that way. That is all about love. So Bell Hooks, y'all, all day, every day, she really talked about love. And she was sometimes brutally honest, but it all came from a place of wanting us to evolve as human beings. And one of the biggest things was she was all about social justice. And I think the people, because we did our work, y'all, you can't see. So we both have our iPads and we have done some serious work of pulling up people that we thought really fit within Emma's strengths. And the first one, so what we're going to do, let's just recap. What we're going to do is we're going to look at a child figure. So someone, they might not be young anymore, or be child, like a quote unquote child anymore, but they started their work when they were very young. And then we'll focus on a historical figure, or as we can call them, our ancestors, because they have transitioned. They have now died. So like Bell Hooks is now one of our ancestors. And then we'll also focus on someone that is present day, that is still living, that we can learn from, that embodies the strengths of you. Okay, so we're going to start with a child. she was a child. You know what? She's still a child because I think she's only a senior now in high school. To me, you'd be like, she's grown. She's not grown. But who is the first person that we found that came up for love and kindness?
Khloe Thompson, or as her work is called, Khloe Cares.
With a K. So name's Khloe with a K, Khloe Cares. And what's the quote?
When someone needs help, you're not just going to walk by them and do nothing. You gotta act on it.
I love that. She's like, we're not just going to turn a blind eye. We're not just going to walk by. We're actually going to do something when we see someone that's hurting. And I think this was a really good one because it ties in with last week. You know how you got really excited? I said, what would you do to change the world? And you started clapping. And then you said you would what?
I would make sure that everyone had a house and that everyone had food and clothes.
Yes. And Khloe, because she saw houseless people or unhoused people on the street with her mom, she was how old?
8.
8 years old. And she's like, Mommy, I don't like this. I think she was in, what is it, say, California. She saw that her mom had a conversation with her about people experiencing homelessness. And she came up with Khloe's Cares. And I think it really aligns with you because one, it's something you're passionate about and you want to figure out a way to solve it. And she did that starting at the age of 8. So I think it really starts removing some of these barriers and saying, I can't do that because I'm only 10. Like she started at 8, right? The face you made because you're like, anything's possible.
Yes.
Right? So it really ties in with your strengths of love and kindness and also compassion and your initiative. So the question I want to ask you is, how can young people take small actions that create big change in their communities?
I think young people could join something to package it. You know the thing where you package food up for houseless people? They could do that, or they could give houseless people money or food.
Yeah, so I think the first thing you're thinking about is what Daddy does at church. He does the food pantry. So you go in there to make boxes for people that either are experiencing homelessness or that just have food insecurity, don't have enough food. So that's one way, definitely, I think, making those packages. And something that Khloe does is she does care bags, and she starts that with a K as well. So because Khloe cares, is that she does bags for toiletries. So that would be like deodorants, lotions, soaps, toothbrushes, toothpaste, basic essential things we need to be healthy that some people don't even have as a basic fundamental human right, which just is ridiculous that that's even a problem, right?
Yeah.
So she found a need, and so she makes these Khloe's bags. I think she might have learned sewing from someone in her family. So she makes the bags and then she stuffs them with the materials that people need and she hands them out. And I love that. And the other thing that she does, which I also love because I'm really big on leadership, is that she does a lot of youth involvement in communities and she works on youth leadership. So I think that's a fantastic work she's doing. So kudos to you, Khloe Thompson, for that. And one of the last things that I want to touch on is that she also doesn't just do this in her hometown. I don't know if she's still in California, but just America alone. But she's also moved abroad to starting doing this in the continent of Africa. And I'm not sure how many countries, but in particular, I think it was Kenya. Oh, it's not in my notes, y'all. But I think it was in Kenya that she does these bags as well, that she really focuses on partnering with African communities to provide safer water, emphasizing her global view of kindness. So sometimes as American citizens, we only focus on America. Sometimes we think we're the best.
We're not.
Ooh, say that again?
We're not.
We're not. We can't think we're elite and we're better than everyone, right? She's branching out and saying, we're going to help people across the globe because these are, I was going to use a big word, but you can handle it, arbitrary boundaries that we create. So these fake lines, you know, when you look at the map and you can see here's what America, North America, South America, Canada, all these things look like. They're not real actual lines that God drew out, right? The planet is the planet. The land is the land. We as human beings created these divides. So she's reached out and says, I'm going to partner with communities because it doesn't just have to be for us. So I love that message that she's sending as well. And, ooh, you know what? I didn't even plan this, but it was a nice segue because of the next person. And who's the next person? This is one of our ancestors now.
Wangari Maathai.
And I thought this was really cool because you said you learned about her maybe a few weeks ago or months ago in school.
Months.
Was it not months ago? A couple weeks ago?
It was a couple weeks ago. I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, I wish I could still have that paper because that's pretty cool that you do these, what is it, 1 minute?
Yeah, you read for 1 minute. It's our homework. We get it every week, and we have to turn it in by Friday.
And so she was the topic of the week. So Wangari Maathai. And she is a figure who dedicated her life to environmental activism. Or some people say environmental conservatism. And I think it's really important that she's highlighted. Particularly kudos to your school for highlighting her because of all this tension with there's no such thing as global warming or we're not going to focus on that. That's not real. That we're highlighting someone who dedicated her life's work to planting, I don't even know how many trees, like numerous amounts of trees that she planted.
It said almost 250 trees.
Okay. And I think, you know what, you have some books with you as well. I think she's in your Young, Gifted, and Black book. Who is the author of that book, author and illustrator? I love this book. It's such a beautiful book. It has one of my favorite colors on it. Mustard yellow, y'all, is my favorite. And let's see who the author is. I want to say, Jamia Wilson. The words by Jamia Wilson and illustrated by Andrea Pippins. Okay, so I love that she's actually in your book. So do you want to show us a little bit or read a little bit about what shows up there?
This is the page.
So Emma is showing you this beautifully illustrated book of the page for Wangari Maathai.
She was born on April 1st, 1940, and died on September 25th, 2011. She also won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2004.
Oh, see, that wasn't even in there, but you remember the date from your school. So she won the Nobel, I know it looks like Nobel, but Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, it actually says how many plants she planted.
How many?
Over 30 million trees.
So you slightly underestimated that? What did you say, 250?
Yes.
Is this like 30 million?
And offered 30,000 women skills to build a better life.
I love that. And I love that there's also a quote in there. I love a good quote. So what's the quote?
It's the little things citizens do. That's what will make the difference. My little thing is planting trees.
Her little thing that turned into a big giant thing where she won the Nobel Peace Prize and she planted over 30 million trees. And it started this movement
trees.
And it's helping the planet. So you do something, we talk about this in education or just adults, we say within your sphere of influence, what can you do? So it doesn't have to be something where you can talk about, I'm going to save the whole entire world. I'm going to do something within my local community to make a difference. And then the ripple effect is I can teach other people how to do that. Other people can get inspired, or I can find people that are really passionate about what I do. And then we build this community and this movement that helps change the larger society. And that's what she did. A little thing replicated and turned into something huge. I love that.
Get this book.
Yes, please do. I think it's a beautiful book, not just for Black History Month, but for every day of the year. Okay, so there was a question that I had for you for this one, though. What role does environmental activism play in showing love and care for the world or for the planet?
It's basically like picking up trash and putting it in trash cans. Even if you're not assigned to do it, you should still do it because you want this earth to live a very long life, and by picking up a single piece of trash could one day save the world.
I love that. And what I love that you said is that you could help the earth live a very long life. So in order for the earth to live, it has to be a living thing, right? And I think, and I know it to be true with all the things that are happening to our planet, that we don't consider it as a planet, as a living thing, I should say. It makes me think of the movie Moana, where you have Tafiti, who was having this nice slumber, and then who was the god that came? Maui. And took the stone, took the heart, right?
Demigod.
The demigod, excuse me. The demigod took the stone, like basically her heart. And then she turned into this raging, burning fire, right? And placing the heart back, she went back to her luscious and cultivating and producing all this fruit. And it makes me think that's what we're doing to the planet, right? We've taken the heart out of the planet and we've put it into corporations, which makes me think of when I was in Denver a couple years ago. There was an indigenous tribal leader, and he talked about we've taken the personhood out of people and put them into corporations, meaning that we don't treat people as people. We have now made us into machines. And if we make us into machines, we're making the world into a machine. And we are sitting here stripping away the Earth's resources, making it sad, all the things. So I love that you equated it to being a living thing, because it is. And we are supposed to be stewards of the earth, just as the indigenous people who were here long before us, native to this land, were stewards of this earth, and we need to learn from them.
Yeah, they were preventing wildfires by burning the trees.
See, and those are the things that we don't know because we have stripped them away from this land, or taking away their rights, or we don't think that we can learn from them. So I'm hoping that we can learn to look at the earth as you're looking at it and saying it's a living, breathing thing. We have to do a better job of taking care of it, as Wangari Maathai did. Yes. I love that. So who is the last person on our list, the present day living hero, shero, for love and kindness?
Beverly Bond.
Beverly Bond, and what did she do?
She created Black Girls Rock.
I love that saying. So kind of like Black Girl Magic, Black Girls Rock. And what's the quote?
There are so many amazing Black women who have contributed to society who don't always get a chance to shine. Our mission is to make sure we acknowledge them on our stages. I
love that. So you don't have the opportunity to shine, and your Black girl brilliance, your Black girl magic. We know that Black girls and Black women rock. So she created a whole movement and an awards ceremony to put you on this national, international stage to showcase how amazing you are. Yeah, and I love this. So she created this nonprofit, and it's really about empowering young girls through mentorship and leadership programs. Again, I love that people are focusing on leadership for our Black girls and our Black youth. It's so important. And she's emphasizing care for others. So that's a part of love and kindness, right? It's not all the mushy, gushy stuff. Like, she's talking about showcasing people that are making societal impactful change and also helping you to be that future leader. So if you're really interested in environmental consciousness, we're going to find someone in the community that can mentor Emma that also looks like Emma. So another Black woman out there. So you see yourself in her, and it doesn't limit your dream, that you can dream beyond your wildest imagination because you're like, there's someone out here doing it, or she's inspiring me to take it to the next level. So I love that she's doing that work for Black Girls Rock. And I really think it ties in with your ability to really want to support other girls. Like I said before, when you saw that little girl crying at this pool, you looked at me and you were like, can I go help her? And you did. You don't remember that, but that's very much who you are. When you see someone, you'll just look at me and I know what the look is, and you just want to help people. So the question that comes up for me is, why do you think recognizing and celebrating Black girls in particular and Black women is so important?
I think it's important because Black people, especially Black girls and women, don't get treated fairly, and you have to celebrate it because we deserve to feel special.
I love that. We deserve to feel special in a world that probably, well, I don't want to say probably, in a world that definitely tries to make us feel that we are less than, that we should shrink, that we shouldn't take up all the space, and that we shouldn't celebrate, that we absolutely rock. So I 100% agree with you on that. And I think what was also part of the definition for love and kindness, or your overall category of humanity, where it talked about It aligns with kindness and the idea that others are worthy of attention and affirmation for their own sake. Because you exist, because you are a human being, I'm going to affirm you and say, I celebrate you, I acknowledge you. And particularly also because what you said, we don't get acknowledged enough, or we don't get to showcase our shine. So kudos to Beverly Bond for creating Black Girls Rock, because it changed the whole movement. And I remember when it first came out, I was so excited, and not even being a kid, but thinking about the possibilities for y'all and seeing yourselves on TV and showcasing not downgrading athletes or actors or anything of that nature, but thinking that we can limit ourselves to those roles because that's where we usually have ourselves seen. That she's showcasing environmental activists, she's showcasing scientists, all these different people so that we can aspire to be all these things. So I love that. So I just want to wrap up this segment asking you, what did you learn from these 3 phenomenal Black women, and how can you plan to spread kindness and love?
I learned that they all did something to help the world or people. It taught me that you could do anything if you believe in. And I plan to spread kindness every single day.
I mean, you already do that.
Yeah.
So I think that you staying aligned with that, I think is really just a gift that you have. And hopefully it's the ripple effect, just like she probably did start out with 250 trees and it turned into 30 million trees. You spreading kindness, talking about spreading, it doesn't mean it just stays with you. You're spreading it to other people, that they spread it to other people. And it recreates, right? And that's the beauty of Emma, and that's the beauty of your love and kindness strength. So do you have a final word for the good people today?
Goodbye.
All right, y'all, and we're back as we kind of just unpack quickly what Emma and I discussed. And I'm going to hold up the book again. If you're watching, this is Young, Gifted, and Black, words by Jamia Wilson, illustrated by Andrea Pippins. It says, meet 52 Black heroes from past and present. And on the cover here is Nelson Mandela and Josephine Baker. So many people to choose from. And I love that it's 52 people. So what you could do with this book is you could do one a week. And that could be an opening for you because they're really short, because it's made for young people. And thinking about, let me get to the page that Emma was reading from for Wangari Maathai. Just a one pager and beautifully illustrated. I'm holding it up again, and Mae Jemison's on the second page. But I think it's just a beautiful practice that you can do during Black History Month, throughout the year, as a constant practice, especially in the days and weeks and years to come, or these attacks on DEI and critical race theory and all the things that we're going to be getting rid of these books because they're making white people feel uncomfortable. Meanwhile, people that look like me in schools feel uncomfortable every day. And it is going to be more important than ever that you get a hold of these books and stock your bookshelf with them and be intentional about teaching your child the true and full history of our world. Regardless of your background, it doesn't matter if you are Black, white, brown, however you identify, it is important to know our full history. And I love that this book isn't just focusing on African Americans. It is also thinking about people from the African diaspora. And in my dissertation work, I found that really important because I interviewed some women that lived in England and the UK and lived abroad, South Africa. And one woman in particular in the UK said that our fight or our liberation for Black women is not liberation for them, that we have a very American-centered view and we don't always consider other cultures. And that really helped me to see my blind spots, right? And thinking about how I see the world and the biases that I have. And I'm so steeped in our culture that I don't think about how it intersects with other ethnic groups, how it intersects in other countries globally is something I need to think of. And what I said with Emma in that segment is we think about the world and these arbitrary boundaries that we create, thinking about the Mexican border and all of the harm that's being caused there. And it's not a real boundary. It's a man-made boundary. God didn't design our world like this. So thinking about how we create others and how we draw these lines leaves us really stuck in a really narrow view of how we can expand our thinking, how we are being individualistic when we need to be more interconnected and thinking about what happens here in the United States impacts everyone globally, right? What do we do here on this planet, on this patch of earth that we have, impacts the entire globe. And we're seeing that. So again, I just appreciate this book. I appreciate the time to sit down with Emma and have these discussions, particularly because how many of you, and I'd love to hear from you, that have children, grandparents included, thinking about aunts, uncles, or those that care for children or have kids in your neighborhood, how many of them learn anything about people that look like them if they happen to be Black? Or at school, are they being intentional about Black History Month? So again, highly encourage this book. I'll put it in the show notes. I just want to end by saying that I appreciate you as listeners. Greatly, wholeheartedly appreciate the love, the support, people practicing, asking these questions of our youth. I will put the questions that I asked Emma. One in particular that's still sticking with me is, how can young people take small actions that create big change in their communities? And that starts with you as a parent and caregiver. What can you do to inspire and create this sense of wonderment and awe, and for them to really walk in their fullness and think about who and what they are and what their strengths are, and how we can zero in. I'm really excited about this thing and I can apply my strengths there. So how can you as a parent caregiver encourage them in your environment? And thinking about, how do you choose to spread love and kindness? So that's my ask for you today. And one of the other asks is, I would hope that you could choose to spread love and kindness to me and Emma. I thank you for the messages on social media platforms. I thank you for the likes. I would ask if you could go to Spotify or Apple Music and please leave a review. I would greatly appreciate it. It is very nice to hear your words on social media channels, but it really helps with algorithms. It really helps getting our reach even farther if you leave a review. So I'd greatly appreciate that act of love and support. And please subscribe to my Substack if you want to actually see the video every Wednesday of Emma and I in action. You got to catch her facials, y'all. I mean, the facials just are everything. If you don't subscribe to Substack, you can also catch us on YouTube and you can see shorts. Please subscribe there. Again, I appreciate y'all. I hope you are taking care of yourself. I hope you are loving on the people that love you. It's reciprocal, right? Remember that. And also bringing that love back to yourself. Staying grounded, staying rooted, practicing those breaths, coming back to yourself, not doom scrolling, but also focusing on, how do I invite in more love? How do I see more love in the world? How do I cultivate that in my little spot on this earth and create that ripple effect? Because love will always win. Any Marvel movie, any villain movie, right? Love wins every time. It might not look like it now, y'all, but love wins. So until next time, take care.